Hi, everyone, and a warm welcome to another episode of the Talkroom series of podcasts. In this episode, we examine the question of how to be your best self. We do that by examining mental health and well-being and how this applies to people's daily lives. For those people who have yet to see any of our previous podcasts, I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Wendy. Wendy is a highly experienced CBT psychotherapist and EMDR therapist in private practice who's been involved in mental health and well-being for well over 30 years now. So a warm welcome to you, Wendy.
Thank you very much, Ian, and a warm welcome to you as well. And Ian, you are a senior accredited National Counselling and Psychotherapy Society member and also the founder of Hope Therapy and Counselling Services. So a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Wendy. So today we're going to be talking about the calming effect. What is this and what does it mean?
Thank you, Ian. So I think in today's culture, we really do live our lives in the fast lane. And I hope you agree with me and the listeners agree that our mental health and well-being have become really important to us. And we're often juggling mixture of challenges and responsibilities. So I think we sometimes just need to take time out and prioritize our mental health. And so research suggests there are 7 key areas that can improve our well-being. And this makes up the model called the calming effect. And the calming effect stands for the following processes. There's 7 steps here. So the first one is communication. The second one is activity. The third one is learning. The fourth one is mindfulness. The fifth one is interests. The sixth one is nutrition. And the seventh one is giving. They're not in any particular order, but they are those 7 processes to help with our well-being.
That's fascinating. And I wonder if you can just tell us a little bit more, Wendy, about each of those different aspects.
Yeah, most certainly, Ian. I'm happy to. So the first one is communication. And also I've sort of added connection there as well, because I think they both go together, sort of 2 C's there. So they're fundamental to developing strong relationships. And relationships play a really important role in maintaining our well-being, and that's very well researched. So communication can create strong connections with people, and this can help to reduce stress and provide emotional support for ourselves. So according to research, people who regularly communicate with others are actually much less likely to experience problems such as anxiety, depression, and loneliness. So therefore, if you develop strong social networks, this can act as a deterrent against mental health problems. So when we communicate our thoughts, feelings, and experiences, we don't only release emotional tension, but often, if it's to the right person, we will also develop a feeling of being listened to and validated. So the social support is really important in mitigating the effects of stress and promoting well-being. So I think there's some practical tips you can do to improve your communication and connection. I'm just going to go into some of them. So one sort of skill which is worth developing is called active listening. And to be able to be an active listener, this involves just simply focusing on the person who's speaking, concentrating on what they're saying, making an effort to try to understand their message, and responding in a measured, careful, and thoughtful way. So if you're able to develop basic active listening techniques, this also includes non-verbal communication, such as good eye contact, nodding, and maybe summarizing the person's key point. So if you actually work at this and become quite competent at active listening skills, this can really help you to form deeper connections and relationship and helps the other person that you're listening to feel better validated and understood. The next way you can do that is simply by expressing your emotions. So research suggests is if you got very good at openly expressing your emotions, this can actually help to develop more meaningful relationships and improve your mental health. And that is also research suggests that if we express ourselves regularly and often, this helps to stop the build-up of emotions and also the risk of overwhelm. So when you're feeling things such as joy, sadness, frustration, or even excitement, if you share these emotions to other, this can also help to build trust and understanding of your own feelings, but also it helps other people to better understand you and therefore increases that feeling of connection. The other thing that often gets missed nowadays is face-to-face communication. So it's really important, try to balance our social media with face-to-face communication. As in this social media age, communication often now happens through text messages and just social media. And while these platforms can be good at maintaining connections, it's an important point to remember that they should complement, not replace, just good old-fashioned face-to-face interventions. And the reason for this is that in-person communication can allow for a deeper level of exchange of emotions and also understanding better non-verbal cues, which actually helps to improve the connection with others as well.
That's really interesting, Wendy, and really comprehensive as well. So thank you for that. So I guess I'm just wondering what the next steps are.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, and the next step is activity. So this is the power of physical exercise. So physical exercise is not only important for your physical health, but research suggests it can have a really profound effect on our mental health and well-being. So regular exercise has been shown to reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. Activity, just general activity, also helps to improve our mood. It can help our cognitive abilities and our self-esteem, which obviously can therefore help our sense of well-being. So I just want to give us some examples of some kind of activity that you can do. So one activity is aerobic exercise. So aerobic exercise includes things like running, swimming, or cycling. And these in themselves have shown to reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. And how it helps, it actually helps to increase your heart rate, which increases oxygen to the brain, which therefore stimulates the release of endorphins, which are our feel-good hormones. So you might have heard of a runner's high, and this is where you actually get a real feel-good sense when you actually do aerobic exercise. Another type of exercise you can do is strength training. So by lifting weights or doing resistance exercises, this can help your physical strength, but also our mental health. So this also, research suggests it helps reduce our anxiety levels, improve our self-esteem, and a bit like the other one, gives us a sort of sense of achieving something. We've done something positive to help ourselves. Another type of exercise is mind-body. So examples of these are yoga or Tai Chi or other practices that combine physical movement with mindfulness. And the great thing about these, there's often a dual benefit for the mind and the body. So the physical benefits, it can help improve flexibility, balance, and strength training again, but it also promotes relaxation and mental clarity.
Again, really, really interesting, Wendy. So thank you for that. And what are practical tips for incorporating activity into daily life?
Yes, and I think sort of most of us know that, activity, some form of activity is good for us. But actually what people struggle with, especially if they suffer from depression, anxiety, or another mental health condition, is actually the practical application of this. So here are a few tips actually how to actually start to increase that level of activity, whatever stage you're at. So the most important thing and it might seem obvious, but not everybody does the obvious, is to start small. So start with things that you think are manageable, whatever stage you're at, whatever level you're at, just something manageable. So it can be as small as taking a short walk for 5 minutes a day at your own pace. And it's really important to set small goals. And then gradually over time, you can increase the intensity and the duration of your exercise as you notice your fitness and hopefully your well-being improves. And the next point is actually, it's more important to be consistent over intensity. So the research suggests is that actually it's the consistent amount of exercise that you do which really helps. So it might be easier to aim for regular, moderate exercise rather than sort of just the occasional intense workout as well. So another good tip is really just to try to make it part of your daily routine. So integrating things into what you're already doing as well. And again, some of these might be very obvious, but not everybody thinks of the obvious. So simply taking the stairs rather than a lift at work. Try to walk or cycle to work or to activities, or maybe join a health club where they do a range of activities, or even a yoga class or something like that. So there's some tips there. And the other one is just really making it very, very simple. Things that are easy to do and maintain. You're much more likely to achieve long-term success if you don't make things too difficult or complicate them. And I think it's just a good idea just to start experimenting with new activities. You can perhaps try a couple of things which are very low cost or don't cost anything at all, such as walking or even strength training. You can do this at home, get some professional guidance first before you try this as well. That's important. But you can actually just do a bit lifting at home using ordinary, everyday objects, and that can help build up your strength. So making it easy would be my final tip.
That's really, really helpful, Wendy. So thank you once again for that. And I think the next one was the letter L, which is for learning. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ian. Yes, you're right. Absolutely right. So another research says that lifelong learning is also really good for our well-being, as it stimulates the brain and also gives us a sense of achievement. And by stimulating the brain, it reduces cognitive decline. So if you develop an interest in something, learn something new, it can help keep the mind sharp. It can also improve our mental flexibility and also helps with problem solving skills, which is very good if you've got problems such as depression, anxiety. It can also, by continually having a learning, a curious mind, it can actually help build mental resilience, making us think that we're more able to cope and challenge life's difficulties. It can also give us a sense of purpose and fulfillment, which also helps our well-being as well. So is it okay if I just perhaps give some sort of examples of some ways of increasing our learning?
Yes,
That's
please.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So so one idea is to think of more of a formal education approach. So this could be actually thinking of enrolling in a course, any course at all, or attending workshops, or maybe thinking of a new qualification to challenge our minds. And of course, if you actually develop more qualifications, this can lead to better skills, and that can actually help our self-confidence or even end up with a promotion at work. And there's lots and lots of online courses now as well. Some of them are excellent value for money. Udemy is one of the ones which you can do as well. So it's just worth having a bit of a Google and finding out what's out there. And then you've got informal learning. So just simple things like hobbies or just reading for knowledge, self-learning. This is another way we can develop our skills. So an example for this could be just trying a new food recipe or mastering a musical instrument or even learning a new language. all these things stimulate our brains and also can increase our sense of joy or satisfaction. And then the last one is creative learning. So if you engage in activities which are more creative, say painting or creative writing or art and crafts, not only are you stimulating your mind, but you're also helping to express yourself. And this can be very, very good. And a lot of research has gone into this by expressing our emotions through creative poetry, or creative writing, or even creating songs. I've got one person who is creating songs at the moment. She's getting very good at songwriting. And you can see how that also helps our well-being as well.
That's wonderful. Really, really helpful. Really insightful again. And it feels as though you've given quite a few tips, but are there any other tips about lifelong learning, Wendy?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of it is the same as before above, really. Maybe start by just writing down a list of things that you're interested in learning and perhaps why you want to learn them. So an example of that would be maybe reading a particular magazine that you enjoy reading, a particular topic. And the benefit of reading a magazine, it tends to be sort of lighter, shorter articles, so it's easier to get into. Most people think they have to read a whole book, but that can be too difficult, especially when you've got depression and anxiety. So you can actually set a goal to sort of say, okay, well, my aim will be to say read a magazine once a month. And again, you can see how that's a realistic goal. And it's also a good thing to perhaps just sort of track how you're going. By writing down your goals, you can then review them and think, are these kind of realistic? Are they manageable? Like setting smart goals. And the other idea is to balance learning. So if you actually include learning into other aspects of your life, to actually stop things like overwhelm. Because obviously what happens is we start to do an activity and other things take over, such as housework, attending to other children or other dependents you might have. You might be looking after elderly relatives or just working and being very tired in the evening. So one thing to think about is to find times when your brain is more open to learning. And that might be, for example, early in the morning, or it might be you're more better at nighttime as well. And just set aside 5 minutes where you can do this. Again, the idea is short and regular. And another thing, as I sort of mentioned before, is it can be really useful just to do some Google searches now and find online courses. You've got online courses, you've got podcasts such as ours and audiobooks, and these all facilitate learning. So you can save time. For example, a lot of people go for a walk and listen to an audiobook at the same time. And this makes things much more easy to acknowledge and integrate into your own pace if you're very busy. The other thing is to maybe think about what topics you're interested in, write them down, as I said before, and think about what opportunities they are to learn that topic and what you can commit to. Again, it's wise to start small, take a taster before allocating a lot of time and money into a new project. So those are my top tips for increasing learning.
Really, really helpful, really interesting, and really relevant. I can really see how those ideas could be integrated into everyday life. That's really helpful, Wendy. So I think that takes us to the letter M, which is for mindfulness, which is all about cultivating awareness and presence. So I wonder whether you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. And it's a topic we often talk about in the podcast as well. So I know it's not necessarily a new topic, but I think it's good just to sort of summarize a few key points. So one definition of mindfulness is being in the present moment with curiosity and without judgment. And that's the one that's my preferred definition as well. So as you can see, it means fully engaging in the present moment and paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and what's going on in your environment in a non-judgmental way. Whatever shows up, you're not judging it, you're just noticing it. And there's so much research on mindfulness now, as you're aware, and it can really help improve our focus, reduce stress, but also really importantly, help to regulate our emotions. And the research actually suggests that mindfulness can actually rewire our brains and increase the density of grey matter, which is associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. So if it's okay with you, Ian, I just want to kind of go through some sort of practical tips on mindfulness, if that's okay. So the first one is meditation. So this is core to mindfulness, and it involves focusing on our mind, on anything really. It can be like a particular object or a particular activity. And it's important to think about, while we're practicing these focusing skills, to simply acknowledge that our minds will wander. That's absolutely normal, and to continue practice refocusing on a particular object or activity or anything really that you choose to focus on. A very well-known one is called mindful breathing, and this is very key to mindfulness. And it's a very simple, quick way of practicing mindfulness on a daily basis. And again, very simply, all you need to do is focus on your breath and just simply be aware of the sensations of your breath entering, leaving your body. And you can particularly focus on where you feel the sensation of the air entering your body. For example, this could be through your nose, throat, or even through your lungs. And this can be practically done anywhere where you are, because we're always breathing, aren't we? So again, this is something you can incorporate into a daily routine quite easily. Another one which I'm very fond of is mindfulness in daily activities. And this is just so simple, but so powerful. And it's simply where you try to incorporate mindfulness into everyday tasks, such as walking or cleaning the house, showering, or even eating. And the idea is, by fully engaging in these activities, it helps your well-being because you're focused on the here and now, but you're saving time because you're combining a necessary activity and mindfulness together. Another one of my favorites is called mindfulness of pleasant experiences. And this is where you set the intention to look for experiences that you might necessarily, not always, but possibly find joyful and pleasurable. And actually, when you come across something you notice joyful and pleasurable, you just focus in that for the present moment and use your 5 senses to really draw it in and to really experience that as well. And also, if you wanted to, you can actually recall that by writing it down in a journal, and what that felt like as well. So you're kind of almost getting like an extra benefit from remembering that pleasant experience as well. Another one which combines both mindfulness and the physical activity is mindfulness movement. And again, this can be very, very simple, such as doing mindful stretching, or you can actually do mindful walking, which is simply paying attention when you walk, again, to the environment, what your feet are doing, or actually paying attention to the air that you breathe. So again, focusing on the present moment while you're walking. Another one which is very popular is mindful colouring. So it's possible now to go on a shopping site and to purchase books which aren't very expensive at all, that encourage mindful colouring. And this is where they've actually got blank, sort of black and white drawings, and the idea is that you colour in these patterns. And this seems to work very well with people. It helps to focus the mind again into small details. It can distract against worrying or rumination, which is a problem with anxiety and depression. And again, can add to a satisfaction feeling when completed. So that's another just small tip you can actually do for creating mindfulness. And is it okay again if I just go into a little bit more detail as to how to incorporate it into your daily life? So again, the idea is to start small, realistic steps. Again, another 5 minutes. it works really well if you try to incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine. So if it, for example, is you could just set an intention, say every time I have a shower, I'm going to really focus on the sensations of the shower. I'm going to focus on the sensation of the warmth of the water on my skin, or maybe the smell of shower foam on my body and everything like that. And just the nice gentle rubbing of drying your skin afterwards and putting warm around you. Very, very simple. And also eating is a good one as well, where you actually just take time to really taste, smell the food, really look at the food before you eat it, and actually just spend some time really tasting the food. Pay attention to what you're eating, are some good ideas. And then there's also lots of apps and resources online as now. Some examples, some of them are paid, some are free. Headspace is one, Calm, and Insight Timer is one I recommend a lot because that one's free. And they simply offer hundreds of guided meditations that you can actually do. So you don't have to sort of think of one yourself. You can just follow one on one of these apps and just keep trying to find one until you find one that you really enjoy. And again, it can be useful just to sort of keep a diary of what you are doing and what you're noticing and how it's helping you as well. So again, there is a lot of research to say if you sort of keep a record, you actually know what's helping you and what that's doing. So that will be my mindfulness tips.
Fantastic. That's again, really, really comprehensive. Thank you, Wendy. So that was mindfulness. I is interests. So I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about interests, pursuing them, passions. Tell us a little bit more, Wendy.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a little bit different to activity. This is more what we are interested in. And also they can give us, again, another sense of purpose. Research suggests that they also reduce stress. And obviously finding things that are interestable, but we enjoy, can actually sort of stimulate our minds and body and also reduce the risk of burnout. So again, there's lots of research that people who engage in hobbies and interests are less likely to experience negative emotions and are more likely to be able to handle stress. And also, again, you've got the sort of underlying purpose. It can increase our skills, it can increase our social skills, and also improve our self-confidence. So again, is that okay if I just sort of give some more tips on that, Ian, for you? Okay, fine. So something which I think is really good, and it comes from ACT therapy as well. And it's actually really understanding what your values are in your life. Okay, so what is important to you? What gives you your life meaning and purpose? And this varies differently to different stages of life, different people. But one example could be is that if you have children, it might be helpful to create an interest with your children. So again, you're combining your time with your values. Another example may be if you have a passion for nature or the environment, if that's what's important to you, make a list and then start to sort of pursue those interests a little bit more. If for some reason you feel your old interests or what you've done before, you can't do them anymore, or you've sort of lost interest, then the next step will be to find a new interest. And again, it's good to make a list of things that you might like to try, and just again start experimenting. Just try something new and just keep on going till you find something that is actually engaging. Also, if you have got an old interest, you might need to sort of think about it differently as well. Say, for example, you really like cycling, for instance, but for some reason you can't cycle anymore, you've got an injury or something like that. Okay, so I can't cycle anymore, but problem solve and think more about how can I replace cycling with something else. And it might be, for example, brisk walking, or it might be having to go on a cycling machine might make a difference as well. So it's actually sort of adapting what you already know as well. Another thing to consider is whether you want to do things on your own or as a group or a combination of both. And again, you're incorporating things into other activities. So for example, If you're a social person, you might consider something like a book club. If you're more of a solitary person, then you've got things like painting or gardening. So again, it's whatever suits you. But if you're doing more social activities, that can actually help that feeling of connecting with others and belonging. And as we know, that creates a good feel good factor. So the things to consider when you're increasing activities might be how to manage your time. Again, you've got the balance between your chores, your work, other dependents that you might be caring for as well. And the problem is, it's very easy to drop those activities that are actually helping your well-being. Okay, so maybe actually creating a plan or a schedule that allocates time for your interests can actually be one thing you can do. Also try the combination again. So for example, if you join a book club, that might help your reading skills. It might build relationships. Say, for example, if you choose to learn a new language, that can encourage you to do more traveling to that country as well. So there's lots of ideas about, the benefits of actually doing these things together. Also, there's lots of research as we are social creatures as well. So by developing a social interest, like for example, I was talking to somebody about joining golf or a tennis club. The benefits of that is you've got like that shared experience, you've got that shared interest. So again, you're more likely to develop a deeper connection with people if you actually do that. So yes, that's my tips on interests.
Again, really, really fascinating, Wendy. Thank you very much for that. So the next one is nutrition. So that's the letter N. And of course, nutrition feeds both the body and the mind. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about nutrition and how we can think about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, another well-researched thing to increase your well-being is to think about food as a brain food. So a healthy diet, rich in essential nutrients, helps our brain to function better. There's also, it's well researched also that we have a link, obviously, between our stomach and our brain. So a healthy diet promotes a healthy gut, which in turn supports brain health. And of course, the other thing can happen as well. A poor diet can actually increase inflammation of the body, which therefore can make us feel more tired, more lethargic, just more kind of unhealthy, really. So there's a few key nutrients researched to actually really help the mental health side. And some of these are omega-3 fatty acids, and the food that it's found in is things like fish, flax seeds, and walnuts. So they are one essential there. And also research suggests that they reduce anxiety and depression just by doing that, which is amazing. The next one is actually making sure you get enough vitamins and minerals. So the ones important to mental health are B vitamins, vitamin D, magnesium, and zinc. So B vitamins support brain function and energy production, which is really important if you're trying to increase your activity, your exercise. And vitamin D is linked to mood regulation. And magnesium and zinc plays roles in actually the connections, the neurotransmitters we have in our brain. And the more connections we make, it actually also research suggests it helps to reduce our stress. And the last one, which is important in improving mental health, is called antioxidants. And how you get antioxidants is actually eating fruits and vegetables. And they actually prevent the brain from getting stressed and also reduce the risk of inflammation. So again, if you're happy, I'll just provide some more tips on how to do this. So one thing to be think about is, it can be expensive actually eating the right foods. So one thing you can do is plan your meals. And again, there is an interest there in developing more opportunities. You can think about planning meals that contain more healthy food, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains. And the best thing to do is actually just simply, again, research recipes online, and you can just put like healthy meals, cheap healthy meals online to cook, which are really easy to cook. That sort of Google thing will just bring up hundreds and hundreds of recipes that you particularly want to do. So it's good to have a bit more of a planning. And already mentioned mindful eating. So this is actually where you just notice your natural hunger and fullness cues. And it actually can really help you to not overeat as well, to actually just sort of, pay attention to what you're eating and pay attention to when you're full. So you actually enjoy your food, you feel satiated, but you don't overeat as well. And another simple thing you can do is just try to get into a habit of snacking healthily. Again, it's so easy to snack on rubbish food, isn't it, as well? But plan your snacks. So try to use things such as nuts, yogurts, or fresh fruit as well. And these can really help to regulate your energy levels so you don't get that sort of sugar crash, which is often associated with foods which are very high in sugar, which create an instant sugar rush, but then after a little while you get the sugar crash. So it's actually maintaining those sugar levels an important thing. And the final one is obviously, as again probably most people know, is just staying hydrated. That's actually very important for the brain. So making sure that you have plenty of water in that you can actually drink, and just be very careful of overdoing caffeinated or sugary drinks as well. Okay. And how to actually do this is maybe start by making a list of healthy foods that you like. It's going to start small. How can you include healthy foods that you like in your current mood, in your current meals? And that can help your mood. Again, just do a little bit more planning around that area, and that can be actually useful. So there's some top tips there.
Again, really, really helpful, really fascinating. Lots and lots of things to think about. So this next one, which I find really interesting, which is about giving. So tell us a little bit about the mental health benefits and the general well-being benefits of helping others, Wendy.
Yes, and I think this is the most unusual one that people go, really? Are you sure? But it is actually well researched. And it can just improve our sense of well-being. It can actually help improve our feelings of happiness, again, reducing stress, and again, this idea of we've got more purpose in our life. And giving can take many forms. Some examples could be simple volunteering, donating in a certain way, or simply helping a neighbour who's in need as well. It can be very, very small things. So how does it work? So how they think it works is that this idea of giving activates the brain's reward system. So again, it releases feel-good chemicals such as dopamine. And the positive feelings not only help the person that you're helping, but they help you, because so you get good about helping other people. And again, it can be multifunctional. By helping people, it strengthens that feeling of connection with people, gives us a sense of purpose, which obviously help our mental health. So there's a couple of ideas I just want to share with you, okay, Ian, about how you can perhaps develop this.
Please do, Wendy.
So quite an obvious one is volunteering, okay? And again, as before, it can give you a sense of purpose, enhance social connections, but also it can actually lead to self-confidence because it can increase your new skills and develop friendships as well. But it hasn't got the commitment that a job might have. So it actually can really help build an awful lot of skills to go towards getting a job, but without the too much stress of that as well. But the one thing I really, really think is even better is this idea of acts of kindness. So just tiny little everyday acts of kindness, helping a neighbour, just give somebody a compliment can make a big difference in our mental health and our well-being. How to start it, how to get it up and running. Again, think about causes that you care about. So it could be lots of people are really into the environment now, conservation or animal welfare, helping the homeless. Again, think of your values and what's important to you as well. It's important to be realistic and start small. Some people find it very difficult because you're going out of your comfort zone again. You're pushing out the fear of rejection, even though you're opening a door for someone as well. And it can be, it's easier a female to a man to a female as well. Why can't a female open a door to a man? You know, but there can be a risk of feeling sort of rejected or embarrassed. So again, these little acts of kindness can be actually better. Another example is just going through your wardrobe and clothes that you don't longer wear. It's a very simple thing as well. Or maybe helping a friend paint or decorate the house or clean the house or tidy it up. Again, that can be enough to give you a sense of well-being. Again, this idea of incorporating into other things. It can be a social activity. You can, with a friend, you might want to go with a friend to get involved with a charity as well, or community cleanup might be another example. Or again, it's got quite into fundraising now as well. That can be another thing which can give you that sort of sense of purpose and everything like that. Or just simply spending time with people that are important to you. So this multiplies the impact of well-being, saves you time and helps you make you feel more interested. So just to sort of summarize, Ian, is you can have a broad approach. You can have many different types of strategies, but by focusing on this calming effect, it actually really helps altogether, helps our mental health and well-being. And just to summarize, you know, start small, write down some ideas and interests, try new things, keep going, keep persevering, and keep on trying will be my sort of top tips until you actually start to find things that you do. And if it fails as well, it doesn't matter if it fails, it's just all part of the learning experience as well. The point is that you're trying new things, and that's what's really good to you. So thank you.
Absolutely fascinating, Wendy. Thank you so much for that. And I love that it all fits into this this acronym of calming. It's a really lovely way of being able to remember it all, isn't it? So if people have listened to the podcast and you talking about these things, if they think that they'd like to work with somebody professionally, what should they do? How do they go about doing that?
So if people want to know more about my work and the therapy that I offer, they just need to contact me by my website, wendycastellino.com. And this is actually in a handout that I've developed as well. So if you actually want to, you know, have the written form, it is available to you as well. If you want to contact me, you can just ask to have that free of charge downloaded. And what about you, Ian? How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. So we have a website, www.hopeforminds.co.uk. That's www.hopeforminds.co.uk. We have a whole team of counsellors who work in a variety of different ways. We also have a dietitian on the team as well. So if people are looking for that sort of dietary support that you talked about, then they're very welcome to reach out to us as well. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for today, Wendy. So just to say thank you to you, thank you to all of our listeners today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you also to our listeners. Thank you. Goodbye.